Mangwana ni Malelepo Fukenjani, Class. Welcome to Africa Good Morning, your essential source for African news, current affairs, and inspiration. In this episode, Kenyan police cracked down on Saba protesters amid outrage over corruption and custodial debts. Uganda's ruling party sets the stage for another Museveni bid. In Gabon, coup leader turned President Oligui Nguema moves to legitimize power through a new party. Ethiopia celebrates its completed Grand Renaissance Dam, while young designers redefine African fashion in Lagos. Plus, Zimbabwe report with Talent Gore, economic ties between India and Namibia as the Indian Prime Minister's visit nears, and Region 5 Youth Games updates. Watch it all on DStv 285, GOtv 25, oneup2.com, and NTV Africa on YouTube, as well as Echo on OneUp2, should you want to give the episode another whirl. From me, Ashwin Berry, let's get into the top story shortly. In our top stories, Kenyan police used tear gas and water cannons to disperse demonstrators marking the 35th anniversary of the pro-democracy Saba protests in Nairobi. The annual event commemorates the 1990 push for multi-party democracy, but this year's march also echoed growing anger over corruption, police brutality, and the recent death of blogger Albert Ojwang in custody. Protesters defied heavy police presence, roadblocks, and citywide shutdowns, marching on foot after major roads were sealed off and schools and malls closed. Authorities cited security risks, with Interior Minister Kipchumba Murkomen warning of criminal infiltration. The Kenya Human Rights Commission reported its offices were stormed on the eve of the protest, injuring a board member. Now, tensions remain high following last month's demonstrations that left 19 people dead. Prosecutors have charged 6 people, including 3 police officers, in Ojwang's death. Many Kenyans say accountability remains elusive as protesters vow to continue demanding justice and reforms in the face of state repression. Uganda's ruling National Resistance Movement, NRM, has confirmed 80-year-old President Yoweri Museveni as its candidate for the 2026 elections, positioning him to potentially extend his 40-year rule. Speaking at the NRM conference in Kampala, Museveni vowed to continue leading Uganda toward a high middle-income status despite mounting criticism over authoritarianism. The constitution was amended twice to allow his prolonged presidency, sparking outrage among opposition figures and rights activists. Pop star turned politician Bobi Wine, who lost to Museveni in 2021, is expected to run again, but has decried the deepening crackdown on dissent, saying opposition voices are now branded as terrorists. Another opposition leader, Kizza Besigye, remains jailed on treason charges he calls politically motivated. Critics accused Museveni of entrenching power through military force and silencing civil society, while supporters point to economic progress and stability. Museveni framed his campaign as Uganda's chance not to miss the bus of history, urging citizens to embrace his vision of transformation. As elections approach, concerns over repression and legitimacy continue to shadow Uganda's democratic space. Moving on. Gabon's transitional president Brice Oligui Nguema has launched a new political party, the Democratic Union of Builders, marking a major shift from military leader to political leader. The announcement was made at a high-profile gathering in Libreville, signaling Oligui's long-term ambitions after seizing power in an August 2023 coup that ended the Bongo family's 56-year dynasty. Following his April 2025 election win with nearly 95% of the vote, widely viewed as controversial, Oligui now seeks to give his rule a civilian face under the banner of transformation and national unity. The UDB says it will rebuild a fractured Gabon and deliver inclusive governance, rhetoric familiar to citizens wary of elite dominance. While initially branding himself as a reformer and transitional figure, Oligui's consolidation of power raises questions about the future of democracy in the oil-rich nation. Critics argue the party's creation confirms a deeper entrenchment of military-backed rule rather than a genuine return to civilian-led democracy. As Gabon moves forward, the political space remains tightly controlled and opposition voices largely sidelined. Ethiopia has officially completed construction of the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam, GERD, at $4 billion, a mega project on the Blue Nile, according to Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed, who announced the milestone in Addis Ababa ahead of its planned inauguration in September. The dam, first launched in 2011, is Africa's largest hydroelectric installation, spanning 1.8 kilometers and capable of holding 74 billion cubic meters of water. It is projected to generate over 5,000 megawatts of electricity, more than doubling Ethiopia's power capacity in a country where nearly half the population lacks access to electricity. While heralded domestically as a symbol of national pride and economic transformation, GERD remains a source of regional tension. Egypt and Sudan fear reduced downstream water flow, but Abiy maintains that the dam is a shared opportunity, not a threat. Negotiations with the two countries have repeatedly stalled, with accusations of colonial-era thinking and obstructionism. The inauguration is expected to draw leaders from now-based countries as Ethiopia positions GERD as both a unifier and a pillar of its development ambitions. Emerging fashion designers from across Africa, the UK, and Europe took center stage at the Fashion Finest Africa Epic Show 2025 in Lagos, Nigeria, showcasing culturally inspired and globally appealing collections. The two-day event provided a vibrant platform for young talent in fashion design, styling, and production, aiming to blend African identity with modern aesthetics. According to organizer Sola Oyebade, the initiative is about empowering designers with the knowledge, experience, and visibility they need to succeed in a competitive industry. Among the standout collections was one by Tai Lore brand, described as a fusion of Western and African styles reflected in fabric choices and threading techniques. The runway featured sophisticated silhouettes, bold colors, and contemporary interpretations has grown into a vital space for nurturing creativity and cross-cultural fashion. Deliver the Zimbabwe report, but prior to that, it is the weather. It's time for us to talk to Talent Gore as she delivers the Zimbabwe report. Talent Wamukase.
Africa.
Now, a Jew has been caught in South Africa over a $4 million EcoBank theft.
Yes, the Zimbabwe Republic Police has confirmed the arrest of two suspects in neighboring South Africa in connection with the $4 million United States armed robbery that occurred at EcoBank Bank in Bulawayo last year in October. In a statement, the ZRP national spokesperson, Commissioner Ponyati, said the suspects, Abraham Vumbunu and Elijah Vumbunu, were apprehended on Friday and extradition processes are underway to bring them back to Zimbabwe. He said that the due process of the law are now taking effect for the suspect's extradition to Zimbabwe. The ZRP is still pursuing the arrest of other suspects who are linked to this case. Apparently, this is one of the biggest money heist cases that has happened in Zimbabwe in recent memory. And there are now 4 suspects who have been arrested in connection with this link. So these two are now, a process is being done now to extradite them back to Zimbabwe. But as of now, 2 of the suspects are actually in the custody of the Zimbabwean police, and these 2 are now on their way to Zimbabwe so that the law can take its course.
Now, Faith Saba, editor of the Zimbabwe independent publication, is now out on bail, Talent.
Yes, Faith Saba, the editor of the Zimbabwe Independent, held since last Tuesday on charges of undermining the authority of the president, was freed on a $200 United States bail on Friday. The charges stem from a weekly column in the paper which appeared under the title "When You Become Mafia State." It featured an old picture of President Emmerson Mnangagwa greeting his Mozambican counterpart Daniel Chapo. Takuzwa Jambao, prosecuting, alleged that the contents of the article were false in material aligned to engender feelings of hostility by the citizens of Zimbabwe towards the president. In granting her bail, Magistrate Chikwekwe said bail is a constitutional right. The magistrate also said there was no point to further detain Saba conditions proposed by the state. So she is now expected back in court on July 29 for routine remand, but she was freed on a $200 bail on Friday. Well, this is not the first time that journalists are being arrested for apparently undermining the president. As you recall, journalist Blessed Mklanga spent almost 500 days, if I'm not mistaken. 200. I'm not really sure. I'm now forgetting the days. For allegedly trying to undermine the president and for calling out action. He was also linked to be working with a Blessed Geza as PF member who was calling for the ouster of President Emerson, and was also calling out the corruption that is happening within the government within Zimbabwe.
All right, I did actually cover the circumstances surrounding her arrest as well, so I'd like to encourage our viewers to go to oneup2.com Echo and have a look at Second Take, this weekend's episode. Moving on, now a figure who is just monumental, even though he's not particularly active on the political scene, remains former opposition leader Nelson Chamisa, and now he is claiming that he is haunting Emmerson Mnangagwa and ZANU-PF at night.
Yes, opposition leader Nelson Chamisa says President Emmerson Mnangagwa and ZANU-PF are having sleepless nights after he stepped back into politics to challenge the ruling party's continued hold on power. Chamisa last year moved away from active politics after self-imposed Citizens Coalition for Change interim Secretary General Sengezo Tabangu snatched the party from him. He had launched at the CCC in January 2022 after dumping the MDC alliance. Shabangu went on to recall a number of CCC legislators, resulting in costly by-elections that saw ZANU-PF regaining a two-thirds majority in parliament. Shabangu has been dismissed as a ZANU-PF proxy, a charge he denies. Chamisa said he was ready to take ZANU-PF head-on. He said, "I'm not shy to be labeled a politician because that's my work, and Mnangagwa knows that. We have given him a torrid time. He is having sleepless to active politics." He alleges that the ZANU-PF party and President Emerson Mnangagwa in particular are having sleepless nights because of his return to politics. But we're not really sure if that is true because no one, since Chamisa said that he was stepping back from active politics, people haven't been paying much attention to him because he hasn't been doing much. So now that he has said that he's coming back to active politics, we're going to see how the citizens themselves are going to react to him coming back to active politics. But in Zimbabwe, he is regarded as one of the most famous people in politics, and most people follow him because he is just Chavisa. So we are not really sure how the citizens in particular are going to react to him coming back to active politics.
All right, Talent, now in a rather disturbing update, a Harare man was busted selling a human fetus disguised as beef.
Yes, on Friday, police arrested a 19-year-old man in central Harare after he allegedly attempted to sell a human fetus, claiming it was beef. In a statement, the Zimbabwe Republic Police said Steli Marecha was taken into custody on July 4 after he allegedly picked the fetus wrapped in a black plastic bag from a bin at the corner of Namibia-India and Albion Streets in the city center. He then approached a 27-year-old man offering the remains for sale as meat. Marecha was arrested for violating a corpse and investigations are ongoing. The police are now appealing to the public for information that may lead to the arrest of individuals who disposed of the fetus. The police are now looking for the individual who disposed the fetus. But as of now, the man who tried to sell the fetus is in police custody.
Now, Talent, your last story is a rather sad one for me as a young man who grew up supporting his hometown football club, Glamour Boys Dynamos Dimbare. The fans are panicking. I'm one of them because it seems like the beloved, the iconic Dynamos is facing PSL relegation.
Yes. Dynamo supporters are worried that their team may be relegated to the Northern Region Division 1 Soccer League if the team's performance does not improve. They also believe the in-house problems have to be resolved for the sake of the club and the game. Dynamos are the longest surviving team in the Premiership and alongside Caps United, the only ones never relegated on either side of independence. So ever since the team was born, they have never been relegated, and this was the first. And the fans themselves, they are worried that if the situations at the club does not improve, the team will be relegated, which will be the first. So everyone right now in the country is quite worried and they do not know what to do, and they are saying that the club itself has to make sure that their in-house politics are on the safe side to ensure that the team does not go for relegation. So this will be the first time that a big team like Dynamos is relegated to Division 1, which is something that the fans are not happy with.
All right, Talent, I'll try to cross my fingers, but thank you very much for delivering the comprehensive Zimbabwe report.
You're welcome, and thank you very much for having me.
Let's get into the economic news. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi will visit Namibia on the 9th of July, the first such trip in 27 years, with bilateral trade at $600 million and Indian investments reaching $800 million. The visit will deepen ties in defense, technology and development. India previously received cheetahs from Namibia for Kuno National Park. Recent agreements include unified payments, interoperability. Namibia is rich in uranium, copper, cobalt, lithium and rare earths, and has also discovered new oil fields. Secretary Damu Ravi emphasized Namibia's strategic resource potential and India's support through capacity building, defense training and a center for excellence in information technology.
Honorable Prime Minister will visit Namibia on 9th July, and this visit is also important. It's coming after 27 years, and the current president, who is Netumbo Nandi Ndaitwah, has assumed office in March this year, which is why the visit happening so early in our tenure is very useful to renew the relationship, at the same time deepen our economic engagement with Namibia. The program will have a ceremonial welcome. Honorable Prime Minister will pay homage to Dr. Sam Nujuma. There will be delegation-level talks, one-on-one discussions, and he will also address the Parliament. The substance of the relationship is, again, as you know, that India and Namibia have been a very strong relationship for a very long time. The historical context, the independence struggle. We recognized Namibia long before it got independence. We took up its cause in the UNGA in 1946 and also allowed to set up a diplomatic mission in India in 1986, even before it got independence in 1990. The bilateral relations are very wide-ranging. Let me focus on the trade here. It is 600 million, marginally in favor of India. Our investments are about 800 million, mostly.
Before we leave you, we're going to give you an update from the Region 5 Youth Games happening in Namibia. Namibia's Oliver Durant dominated the men's 200-meter medley at the AUSC Region 5 Youth Games in Swakopmund, winning by nearly a full lap and adding another gold to his growing tally. While Swakopmund CEO Alpheus Benjamin also attended the Region 5 and welcomed the boost such events brought to the town's economy and visibility.
Benjamin, we seem to have a lot of activity in Swakopmund now with the athletics Region 5 Youth Games. Tell us what's on your mind. What does it mean to you in Swakopmund?
Well, we are excited that we get to co-host the Zone 5 Games in Swakopmund. Swakopmund is always ready to host any kind of events, particularly sport, because we've got the facilities here. We've got the Vineta Stadium, we've got the Dome, we've got other sports facilities as well. But we are just excited to have so many people from all over Southern Africa in our town. Yeah. And of course they are staying here, they are spending money here. That's what tourism is all about, sport tourism is about. So yeah, we are very excited to host them, and also just to showcase what we have in our town.
Sure, we've got it at the Swakopmund Sports Stadium, and we also have it at the Cube swimming pool. Have you been there yet?
I've been to the stadium, haven't been to the swimming pool yet. Yeah. So I'll definitely visit all the venues.
Excellent. Well, enjoy, man.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Thank you for staying with Africa. Good morning on DStv 285, GOtv 25, oneup2.com, Network Media Hub and NTV Africa on YouTube. Keep in mind, on oneup2.com, should you click Echo, you have access to all the shows from NTV, including Africa Good Morning and all our episodes, so you can give this one another swirl. From me, Ashwin Bedi and the Africa Good Morning team will certainly be back tomorrow, zoning in on Botswana and, of course, broader Africa. Sweraja Kanaka.